Good morning, everybody. Happy Halloween. Let's get to it. Yesterday was a decent bounce day. Let's put it in perspective. There we go. So this puts in perspective what's been going on lately, which has been down. These are the S&P sectors. So some bottom fishing, consumer staples, and these are defensive, and it's been interesting. Nobody wants any defensive stocks, and let's call it a bear market, even though, let's say, not 20 down 20% from the high. As we covered yesterday, the transports are within a percentage of being there. Um, so little bounces. This healthcare is considered defensive. Of course, utilities and been doing badly with interest rates going up, but so things got a little extended. You can see the distance from this resistance area on materials and everywhere else. The kind of the same trends, similar trends in a lot of different sectors, consumer discretionary, which really didn't have such a good up day at all, wasn't even green. And so this has Tesla in it, which probably going to be down. Last I saw it was down some more today. Communications, which was a stronger, that broke down at the end of last week. And so there's a lot of congestion overhead. And so the point of looking at all of this is to put in perspective of one up day does not change a trend. And so we'll see where things end up today, but I still think things will go lower because ultimately that's where I'd like it to go, down to a significant support area where the buying opportunity will be the greatest versus, it could bounce up a little bit here, of course, when things get extended that way, things typically bounce, but things did accelerate lower at the end of last week, which created a little void, pretty obvious here on materials and, this little sideways price action. So we'll see what today brings. Things were up a little bit here pre-market. Let's go to our typical page. And you see that the NASDAQ futures, they didn't do so great. And obviously these were leading the way up. They're not near any support yet. Things that did better yesterday were beating down things that are near support. So tech hasn't gotten there yet. And semiconductors didn't participate all that well yesterday, as you could see. SMH didn't even take out the prior day's high. And if you look at this one, looks god awful. All right. That actually continued lower. So there's still bearish undertones yesterday suggesting lower prices. Interest rates held up. Well, they were kind of sideways. They were up, then back down, and they didn't have too much of an effect. And I'm just taking a look at the option quotes here before they go away. Give me a second here. So I was in the middle of doing something. So again, spiders a little extended. They are on some support, well under the 200-day moving average, but in this support area. 1 second here. They eliminate these quotes just a little bit before they open. None of our strikes got hit yesterday. So this certainly could bounce. Where is it here? It's at the top of yesterday's range. And this is what we spoke about yesterday about, can it clear this pivot? And you can see it did near the middle of the day, but then it faltered. So it really didn't get very far. Is this building a little base? Can it get above yesterday's high, which would get it into the void up here? Um, and clearly it could go a little bit further. I don't know that it could get up there. As I'm moving this, I would say absolutely not. This little gap fill, that daily bar didn't look like it tagged the close. That wouldn't be very far. Maybe 420, 4,200. So, looking at options activity, there were quite a few call options being bought for 4,200 in SPX, but you can see it didn't even get close to. But if can it get above today's high, that could be within striking distance. I don't know about today, but right now it's really not doing much of anything. SPX, exactly, Don. Struggling here. So look, yesterday was a technical bounce. That things were bouncing off of support and resistance. So, just typical, things get a short-term extended to the lower and things bounce. That was yesterday. Strikes today is up a little bit, which is what always happens if things are up a bit. So this is today, lower strike, and yeah, interesting. 42.10 is up there. Again, I would say, I'll always move that up here. I would say it isn't getting to either one today. It won't get that far. It won't get through 4,200. That's my opinion. Of course, there is resistance there, minor resistance, this congestion area right there, at 4,200. So we do have a line of defense. Now, getting through yesterday's high, does put it within striking distance. So see what happens in the first 10 minutes or so. And so since it's up here, basically unchanged, to go through yesterday's low and then through the prior day's low to hit this area, it's just reasonable to think that's not going to happen today. Yeah, John mentioning there in YouTube. Yep, Tesla. You can hear the news that's out there that they're struggling with slower sales. I don't know what business isn't having slower sales. Times like this, what does well? Lawyers and funeral homes. Because when people are struggling, the stress either kills them or they sue people, right? So people always suing people, but when people struggle, they sue people more. Who's having problems? No, we don't. Alex is saying we don't slow down it here. We're always looking for opportunities. That's our job. So, all right. YM is now negative on the day, and had the best day yesterday. McDonald's, whipped around, but that did well, and then United Healthcare did well, and Microsoft was up a bit. So that is the kind of reversal day you need to see to start believing that there is some kind of bottom, close, and this isn't out of the woods yet. And ideally, it's going to come down here. These weekly charts are still kind of nasty, and this is only Tuesday. This could obviously turn into a topping tail by the end of the week. But most of the weekly charts have this two big nasty days down. And as far as the Dow goes, support is down here. Those are the futures. And if you look at the Dow Industrials, you can see the nice reversal day and two big ugly weekly bars. And ideally, it comes down here. I got the death cross marked off for that to update with a little more down action there as he drops off a couple of more days. That should cross as the 50-day comes down, dropping off the old data. Fed meeting today. Is today Wednesday? I think the Fed meeting's tomorrow. Don, right? I think the Fed meeting is tomorrow. Yeah. Always happens on a Wednesday. 2:00. And then at 2:30, the chair speaks, and that typically, everybody waits to hear what he says. Today at 10:30, Dallas Fed Services and Dallas Fed Services Revenue Index. I don't know how meaningful that is, but consumer confidence, CB consumer confidence is at 10 o'clock, so watch out for that. And at 9:45, right after the open, is Chicago PMI. So watch out for that. So there are news items out there that can, you think things are okay, and all of a sudden you get blindsided. Yeah. Okay. Transports did great. Maybe an exaggeration, did great, but they look pretty darn good. But they're down at support. This is what I'm talking about. Things that are already down here and down on support. Institutions are, in long-term, whatever, if they look at charts, are going to feel like, hey, how much lower can this thing go at this point? And so looking for these stocks to start showing a little relative strength, to start to base out. You can see this is, and I'm surprised, they're not talking about bear market in the transports. Usually the institutions jump all over that kind of stuff, but they don't like talking about the negative stuff unless it's so obvious. But they're like day traders in the media. Whatever the flavor of the day is, that's what they're going to talk about. All right. So transports vertical move to the downside. That's typically the kind of price action that sets up at least a short-term low. And then if we could get a retest. So with a pattern like this, I'd like to see, because of course what we like to see is the typical things that set up nice moves that we can make money from. So a shallow retracement, right? This is vertical. Look at this move down, starting the move vertical, and then it grinds its way down vertical near the end of support. We get a shallow retracement and then a retest and maybe a new low reversal, a W bottom. That would be fantastic if we could set something like that up, maybe next week. So keep that in mind. The Russell already crushed, like the transports. It's often the case down at the bottom here. And I mentioned yesterday, it's a new closing low. Those are tails down there. So this had a new closing low. The financials were showing for a little while, showing some relative strength. Intraday, so I was saying intraday. And but they got clobbered last week, especially some of the others here. The bigger banks got clobbered, and now they had a nice reversal day yesterday. So looking for some silver linings in the clouds, right? Some positive things going on with our theme of some kind of a tradable low coming in the next, week or two. We'll see. The dollar backed off. Where's my UUP? The dollar backed off a bit yesterday, but it's in a trading range. Now it's up at resistance. So really nothing decisive. And interest rates, as mentioned, that moved lower, hit my alert this morning, and that popped right back up again with the jiggles. Alex is telling me, look at the yen. Wow. Yeah. A little treachery going on there, but it's in a downtrend. So look, if you're going to do a counter trend trade, even after a wide range bar and there's a mess of supply overhead, it's reasonable to think, hey, could this have gotten up to the 50 MA and up here? So on the news, this thing collapsed and look, it's on this pivot low, yeah, over here. So it makes sense to be thinking about bottom fishing with a pattern like this, just like the transports. It doesn't make a difference whether it's transports or currency or whatever. The method of looking to the left where reversals are is the same no matter what you trade. So I would still look for this maybe to turn around, and with this kind of a reversal, it might break through that low and then flip back up again. Yeah. You you gotta counter trend trades. You gotta be nimble. All right, well, oil is up here a little bit. That was flip flopping yesterday. I flipped back down, so I'm not sure what that's going to do. One bar doesn't mean anything, right? One green bar back and forth, one big green bar there, and it followed through. We'll see what happens. Um, you know, but oil coming down, if that broke down here and started to drop, intermediate term, it would be positive to see, that as far as the inflation theme goes. Looking for gasoline that's been whipping around. I'm not going to look for it right now. What else? We've covered semiconductors, financials, small caps, transports, interest rates, currencies, and yeah, we'll see what today brings here. Let's go back here to the S&Ps, and they're just kind of flip-flopping around here and really not doing much of anything. So um, more chop for the moment. I'll keep it dry. And but a few things Dan pointed out to me this morning, which he mentioned yesterday, as that was bottoming, um, and kind of people looking for as far as beaten down stuff, bottom fishing, this chewy, I think that's up a little bit this morning, but it's going to hit this resistance. But um, yeah, so bottom action, things beaten down, end of year rallies. Let's continue to look for that to set up. So there's gasoline reversing back down again. So here you go. All yours, Dan.
Well, all right, so we're getting our desired scenario so far. And I know I saw those clans, those hands too. I don't know where they came from. And I sure hope I'm rooting for the downside too. And the Fed meeting will be a perfect catalyst for it. Fisher was on, the old former um, FOMC guy, and he's saying, be careful, the 10-year can still go higher, and he's just totally blaming it on friggin' government, fiscal insanity that's going on. That's why we have these high yields problems. UEC, yeah, yeah, it's bullish trading range in an uptrend. I'm sure. Now let's go. I don't have any alarms going off on our opens other than Tango Whiskey. My alarm went off here. And I sent a telegram saying if it is gapping up there, try to sell half pre-market. But let's go to earnings here. Yes. So McDonald's still looks good. We were going to do a put spread on that yesterday, but it came in too deep. But that pullback was actually the place to enter. This is a nice day trade setup right here. I'm going to put that in a window. But yeah, these earnings were from yesterday. I didn't clean them out yet. All right, these are earnings. AGNC, up a little bit. Climo, 30-minute high idea. Rig opening flat. Climo will come back. BFC getting whacked, 1550 down at this prior low. We'll see if fire step up, pins. 20, that is a big gap. So that's blowing through its expected move. It's a bullish gap. We'll watch it on a pullback. Zulu India going lower. That's all-time lows. That's kind of could be in a death trend. That looks horrible. Pack B gapping down a little bit. No pattern. Wolf 3170. It's a bullish gap over Friday's high. 30-minute high. Put spread idea. H-lit down 860. Bearish gap. We'll come back. LSCC. This thing's already down a lot from $97. So I have this in my other computer as a possible excessive gap. Well, looks like it's opening flat. This would have been a perfect condor into earnings. Big, if you want flat 20 and 50 with multiple pivot highs and lows, but there was no juice. Q-trend gapping up a little bit. Bullish gap, maybe put spread, but nothing's jumping out at me like a no-brainer other than this McDonald's, but that's not an earnings trade. That's a beautiful 15-minute chart. Just McDonald's for a day trade. Gapping down, no interest, don't chug. ANET. Oh, ANET, we actually did a condor. We sold the 202.5 and the 150s, and so it's gapping to the upside. I'm in that. I'll be watching it at the open. CRK. Looks like it's opening flat on this. But no, nothing. CWK, nothing. IRT, I don't see any prints, but could be a Climo. BRX. A lot of these have no prints. If this can take out Friday's high, though, it's a big W bottom, new low plus. Interest. Rambus down a little bit. I don't see any. We'll come back. Steady downtrend. Trex, there's a big old shock gap. We'll watch that on a pullback. TWO is a nice Climo. I see one print up here, 1015. All right, I have ANET on my other computer. So I will put TWO here, looks pretty good. Okay. THC. Potential double bottom. 30-minute high. We'll come back to it. This one's slot. There's a lot of earnings yesterday. Gapping down, no interest. SPG. Gapping up over these highs. I think I have an alarm at 107. Let me check. Well, it must have gone off. No, I didn't. So 107 alarm on SPG. Manpower 424. That's a no-brainer put spread. I got cat in the other computer too. Let me so put spread traders, if you can help me on Manpower, looks fantastic. PSA, Alex, I should have went through this earlier to delete some. Yeah, I can't tell where it's gapping, but yeah, I like it, Alex. If you don't mind watching it, and I'll set an alarm. 240 spot 15. Oh, it's already gapping over that, it looks like. All right, let me try to go fast here. Amcor gapping down. It may be a short-term exhaustion, but I got enough to look at. This is a kind of a descending triangle of the downtrend. Your piece of garbage, $5 stock. It could bounce yesterday's high, set an alarm, ARI. BBM, big old mess, overlapping bars, $3 stock, no interest, MNX, garbage. It was, yeah, Manaz. Yeah, we talked about it. Exhaustion gap, where I'm going to be looking for a put spread. Forward, gap and down, we'll come back. Mess. Denny's. It shows it down, but I don't see any prints. Garbage. Yeah, I should have cleaned these out earlier. All right, AKR. This looks like something else we looked at. Potential double bottom here. So that they're setting alarm at 1375. OGS, possible bounce. Gapping up a little bit. 30-minute high, HMST. WK garbage. Pets. Oh, that's ugly. We said yesterday on daily, weekly, monthly, that is ugly. Pfizer, nothing. Amgen, I thought was up pre-market. Now it's down 255. We'll come back. There's our cat. So yeah, it's down a lot. And now you're gapping down way the heck to 228. So I'll be watching that for a put spread. You know, my default is I just say 30-minute high. Because then it has to chop around and, you know, demand has to exceed supply and so forth. This is an ugly gap. BP near this prior low. Let's see if buyers step up. Brett, that's 100% irrelevant right now. You gotta wait for the vol contraction and all that and the gap. Bud is very sloppy. We were talking about doing a put spread yesterday, but not enough juice. Still a put spread idea if you could find anything under yesterday's low. ETN. 20. Here's another put spread idea. It's a flavor of a W bottom. MPC is not bad. 148, 30-minute high. This could be a directional and put spread, so that's not bad. That's a foreign stock. I don't like you. ECL, steady downtrend. Ambev opening flat. Well, no, it's opening up a little bit, but that's in a death trend, no interest. AMT, I just had up alarm go off. AMT is not bad. Denny's up alarm. Okay, I didn't see that pre-market. So 30-minute high, Denny's is an idea. SYY, bottoming pattern, 30-minute high on SYY. Not bad. Cube, this is gapping down. AME, no pattern. Cube, I just had an alarm. Okay, so this is one little small double bottom. This is not bad. 10-minute high. Let's see how it stabilizes. I'll put that in a window, the other computer. Cube. Let's see where our ANAT is. Our ANAT hasn't opened yet. It's still showing the closing prices, so nothing we can do with it. Aries, ugly gap. Peg. 6150. Huh, it's not, look, it's not showing on the daily chart yet. But this is the 30-minute high, big old inverse head and shoulders. Or this TWO is moving. Ah, shoot, now the gap's too big. It's a gap and go, but that was a nice climb-o. GEHC, gap's too big. GPN,